Welcome back. During the lockdown, some South Africans are being arrested or even assaulted in their own homes. A family in Alexandra is mourning a loved one after SANDF members allegedly walked into their home and assaulted him. In Westbury, Johannesburg police officers allegedly broke into a family home. We all have regulations we have to adhere to, so what are the authorities' regulations? eNCA's Masego Rahlaga joins us live from the news studio now. Masego, you've been watching these stories very closely for us, and I believe that you spoke to the wife of the man who lost his life in Alexandra. Can you tell us a little bit more about what she's going through and the circumstances that she mapped out to you?
Well, Andy, it was, it's a very sad situation. I mean, how she explained it was that it was on Friday afternoon around 5 o'clock. People in the township of Alexandra, that's the far east bank section of the township, started to shout, the SANDF is here, and she says that one of the people who live in the yard that she lives in tried to close the gate, and that seemingly is what made the SANDF members angry. They walked into the room that she shares with her husband, and they found her husband eating with his brother. And she says that they started to ask them questions, and obviously they said to the police, to the SANDF members, that they were just eating inside their home. They're not having alcohol, they're not outside. So they didn't understand what it was that the police, or rather the SANDF members, were doing inside their home. And the members then decided to apparently open up the fridge and cupboards to search for alcohol, and that's when they found one bottle of beer. She says that when they went to the other side of the room, they found a few more empty bottles of beer, and that's when they decided to take these two men outside, and they called for backup. And she says that they were surprised to see that these two female officers called backup, and there was a combi that arrived full of SANDF officials in there. She says that's when they started beating up her husband and his brother, and she says that what was sad for her is that her husband did live for about 3 hours after the incident, but died soon after he called her to hold her hand and squeeze it tightly. She says that was when she felt that he was basically leaving. But here is Nomsamonsa, who is now mourning her husband after what happened on Friday.
After arobetse ko romong ni antsi atlatsa mara atlatsa hanyane na santi too much. Na atlatsa hanyane ke ntse ke dutse mo fase ke mo checkile until nakonyana, so ka bona gore a sa tlatsa like o robetse nje o thotse ke ntse ke mo checka, so a ke mo ke na lone ro o tshwere nna ka letso because since ne a no robala ne a sa itse next. By that time mo a ntshwara ka letso ali squeeze a bula le matlo a ntebella, so after that a ke check up pulse tsa high level na sa he.
Masego, another incident happened in Westbury on the same day. What occurred in that incident?
Well, Andy, on Friday, this family says, the woman who called us to help them actually lives with her mother and her cousin, and she says that her boyfriend is also staying with them for a little bit. So they were outside, just outside the mother's garage where she parks her car, and they were buying some fish. And she says that the police officers then arrived. They kicked the fish, off the braai stand, and they started to apparently beat up these two men using sticks that they got from a tree nearby. And she says that once they heard the commotion, they tried to look at what was happening, and that's when she and her mother were then dragged out of the house. And basically, she says what a lot of South Africans have been saying, that, is it necessary to use as much force to get people, to adhere to the rules? She says that she does understand that they're not supposed to be braaiing outside, because I did ask her why they were braaiing, why they were having the braai outside of the house. And she says that they didn't. She actually showed me that they don't have enough yard space, and that's when they decided they wanted to make the fish just outside the garage door. But she also says that she didn't understand why the officers particularly needed to get into the house forcefully. She says that the garage door was actually completely damaged, as well as the gate, so that the police officers could gain entry into the house. She showed us the garage door. It no longer is able to completely close, and she says that that's when her mother and herself were dragged out of the house. She showed us her injuries as well, and on her arm, on her head, underneath her chin. She's actually afraid to even show her face, because she says that yesterday the same police officers returned to find out from them if they were okay. But here's the woman from Westbury who is also, who says that the police used too much force on Friday when they went to her house.
When she came, she just kicked the price. Then over, I literally picked up the hot fish from the foil, and I asked them to open the garage door. I fell on the floor. They were pulling me. The one woman kicked my head. The guy was pulling me. He called me a bitch. It's like they scratched me, but I was literally on the floor.
Masego, it's not the first time we've heard reports of the police using unnecessary force or perhaps overreaching their mandate. But it's very important to give them a right of reply to these incidents. Have you spoken to either the police or the SANDF to get their take on these two specific incidents?
In fact, I did speak to the national spokespeople of both those departments. The South African National Defence Force spokesperson told me that they are waiting for what they call an incident report to first of all confirm whether their members were the ones who were in Alexandra on Friday at that time and what it was that happened there. And until then, he says that they will not be able to give us official comment on camera. I also spoke to a spokesperson, a national spokesperson for the South African National Police, and he said that they actually deem this case not to have happened. They're saying that it doesn't exist because, according to them, until that family in Westbury opens a case, they won't be able to do any investigations. But for now, they are saying that police do have the right to get into people's homes if they are looking for suspects or they're going on information. But this time around in Westbury, it doesn't seem that was the case. And so until that family opens a case against those police officers of assault, the police say they can't do anything about it.
Right, thank you very much for that update, Masego Rahlaga. No doubt with lockdown extended for an additional 2 weeks, and that extension meaning that we've got 3 weeks left of lockdown, we're likely to see a couple more of these cases, and we'll continue to bring you updates as that story develops.